The aftermath of the Tyre Nichols police body cam video, Russia's war in Ukraine, and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's rejections. Joining us this morning, Washington insider Armstrong Williams. Good morning to you, Armstrong. Good to see you. Over the weekend, we did see mostly peaceful protests after the graphic footage of the body cam video was released of Tyre Nichols. And some say this should galvanize police reform. Others say no reform would have changed what we saw. What do you think?
Well, Jan, this should be a lesson, not a reckoning. Police officers are under a lot of stress. There's a lot of anti-police sentiment. There's a lot of hate towards police officers, and this is not representative of who they are. And yet we see more of this. And it's obvious, Jan, from watching the footage, they've done this before. They were so desensitized to this situation. What they have to do is weed out these bad cops. They know a lot of these cops are hot-tempered. They have no regard for human life, and they feel that there's some kind of authority over their lives. They can treat them as any way they want to, whether they broke a law or not, and that needs to be weeded out. But we should not, in the process, indict law enforcement officers across the board who get up every morning not knowing whether they're going to come back home or not. Or if they come back home, if their family will recognize the person that left the morning up.
And Armstrong, has been almost a year since the war in Ukraine began, still with no end in sight, no end to America's financial support. Now we're promising tanks. You've said from the beginning that this reminds you of Poland in 1939. How so, and where do you see this finally coming to an end?
It's, Europe certainly does not want this conflict, and they are siding with Putin when it's necessary, and then they give the right rhetoric to the United States to show some kind of solidarity, but it's just not there. 50% of what we're sending to Ukraine, Jan, goes to the military-industrial complex. You've got to follow the money trail. Even the GOA cannot give an accurate accounting of how much of the money is stolen, how much it actually arrives into Ukraine, and how much it goes elsewhere. Obviously, Biden has decided to escalate this into territorial, geographical, global war is what it's leading to, Jan. And Putin, you better believe, because he's crazy, he's going to retaliate. And so it comes down, this has become America's war. We got to pay the piper. And Zelensky certainly wants the war. He doesn't want it to end, and I don't think Putin wants it to end. And America's made it clear they will continue to escalate it. So where do we go from here? Innocent lives, infrastructure is destroyed. And before it's all said and done, the world may be drawn into this war.
Yeah, and at what point does the money flow stop? At what point do we stop sending support and money to Ukraine? What's your thoughts?
Well, preferably, now that we have a new Speaker of the House and you have more of a balance across the board, maybe you'll see some changes, because Kevin McCarthy has made it clear that he's no longer giving Biden and this administration a clear pathway to continue sending massive U.S. dollars to Ukraine with no realistic strategic interest in Americans and their way of life continue to suffer. At some point, we got to put Americans first. So we'll see how effective he is.
Yeah, speaking of which, he has rejected Hakeem Jeffries' demands to reappoint Congressman Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff to the House Intelligence panel, saying he will not put partisan loyalty ahead of national security. McCarthy so far has kept his promises to the GOP. What grade would you give him the first few weeks of the new Congress?
A-. And Adam Schiff lied about Russiagate. He fueled Russiagate. He knew what the truth was. He did not care about the truth. Sewell was sleeping with a Chinese spy. She became his mistress, and despite all that, Pelosi, to her, it didn't matter. She reappointed him to the Intel Committee. And Kevin McCarthy's position is one of principle, and they don't belong there because they cannot be trusted.
All right. Armstrong Williams, A- there for Kevin McCarthy. Thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Jen.
Have a great week.